toothbrush, haven't
How
we?
can she make her own toothpaste but not make her own dental floss? I'm sure you could make your own dental floss.
If anyone can, she can. That's incredible. A jam jar's worth. I always just feel, satisfied, very smug with myself if I'm using one of those foil trays for one of the ready meals I have at home, Thordies. if I put that in the recycling bag, I just have a great sense of satisfaction at the end of the day.
I love it. Creature of habit.
Yeah.
Seb Noble
with my ready
his
meals.
Ready meals on the button of 7:30 or whatever every evening. I wonder if there's someone who's got like an 8 a.m. habit that they do every single day, because it's just approaching 8 o'clock. If you've got a thing you do every time at this day, I would love to know. 81333. You can text in as long as it doesn't get in the way of your habit, because you might get upset.
Yeah,
Slightly
unless that is your
message
habit,
Cam.
texting at 8 o'clock.
Please make that your habit, especially this week. Also, in the papers, chocolate chip is the headline of this 10-word story, whatever it is. Chip shop owner David Packer is offering battered cream eggs and chocolate bars over Easter in Torquay.
Oh,
So you won't be heading to Torquay then.
that's why Andy Lake's going there.
Andy Lake heading to Torquay for a battered cream egg.
BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
To the roads, how's the A47 looking, James?
Still partially blocked, Thordies. Yeah, there's a car broken down at the junction of Black Drove, more or less midway between Thorney and Guyherne. And as a result, eastbound is queuing from just east of Thorney, delays of over 15 minutes. And westbound is also slow moving, but not quite as bad as the eastbound side. The A141 at March, that's slow on the northbound carriageway, heading up towards Ringsend, just passing March, the queue though. And A14, usual delays from Spittles to Girton. A10, Streatham to Chittering, rather slow. And as for central Cambridge, usual delays on the Baberham Road and also on Trampington High Street. Nothing really out of the ordinary, and no reported problems on the trains. Keep us up to date. Anything else on the roads, it's 0330 123 3551. James Worley, BBC Radio Cambridgeshire Travel.
Thank you very much, James. It's Thordies on your breakfast show all this week in for Dotty. Still to come in the next hour, Do Watch, which you may remember from last week's breakfast show, has gone absolutely international.
A passion for Cambridgeshire. FM, online, on DAB. This is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
And Battle of the Villages continues. Would you like to put your location on the map? 81333 if you're texting. Start your message with Cam. Breakfast continues after the 8 o'clock news with Andy Lake.
Thanks, Thaddeus. Good morning. Moscow is considering its response after Theresa May warned it had until midnight tonight to explain its role in the Salisbury nerve agent attack, or it could face retaliation. The American Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, has offered his support to Britain's assessment that Russia was to blame for the poisoning of a double agent, saying the perpetrators should face serious consequences. From Westminster, Chris Mason.
The Kremlin faces an ultimatum. Answer today whether it was responsible for the attempted murder of the Skripals or face a retaliation. Tomorrow, the government will consider any response from Moscow and then decide its next steps. The expulsion of some Russian diplomats and travel bans and financial restrictions being imposed on some wealthy Russians with property and money in the UK are possible options.
Moscow insists that the Prime Minister's claims are unfounded. A former Kremlin aide, Sergei Markov, accused Britain of trying to demonise Russia.
Please give us real facts, but not blah, 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 falsificated by your intelligence services. Russia is waiting documents and letter. Then let's sit down and decide how we will make joint investigation of this issue.
A study commissioned by South Cambridgeshire District Council suggests demand for age-friendly housing will be 80% higher by 2035. The research reveals there's inadequate planning of housing provision across the county to meet older people's needs. More specialist housing needs to be built and more care beds should be provided. Dr. Tom Archer was involved in the study.
There is a change in kind of demographics, if you like, and that has impacts on the housing that people need and how we support them in terms of services. So specialist housing covers a range of different kind of housing types. So it would include your kind of traditional sheltered housing, which people might be familiar with, retirement housing, which might be provided by, for instance, the private sector, or extra care housing, which has slightly more support and on-site provisions.
A number of mosques in England have been given protected status by the government. Historic England, which helps preserve important buildings, says the intention was to celebrate the country's most significant examples of Islamic heritage. Cambridge City Council has unveiled its Air Quality Action Plan to improve standards over the next 5 years. They'll be discussed by the Environment Scrutiny Committee later on this week. Among the proposals are plans to reduce traffic emissions with environmentally friendly buses and taxis, and encouraging deliveries within the city to be made by bike rather than lorry. Rosie Moore is a Labour councillor and the Executive Councillor for Environmental Services in the city centre. She says the plans shouldn't get in the way of people's lives.
Currently, there aren't enough options for other people to get in and out of the city. We want people to come into Cambridge and the people who live in Cambridge to be able to move about. We want them to get to work, to school, to go shopping, but we just want them to be able to do it without causing air pollution.
A scheme by one Cambridgeshire village tackling dog fouling has been getting attention from across the world. Known as Doo-Doo Watch, it encourages people to report unwelcome mess, which is then put on an online map. The residents in Wimbledon who set up the map now claim almost 50 communities around the country have got in touch to find out how they did it, along with people in Kuwait and Australia. And we'll have more on this in the next hour of the programme with Thordis this morning. And finally, a review of 25 years' worth of data has highlighted emerging threats to garden birds, including bird feeders, which could be spreading disease. Experts, led by the Zoological Society of London, say people should continue to feed birds, especially in the winter, but should be aware of the risks. Meanwhile, a form of bird pox, which causes warts on some species, is becoming more common. Kate Risley from the British Trust for Ornithology helped carry out the research.
There's definitely a gap in people's knowledge, and this is really what this is about. We're trying to just make people think about it a little bit and think about a few simple things that you can do. If you're diligent, feeding your birds, you probably know how much they get through on a typical day. So, top up your feeders quite regularly, because that means that food isn't sitting out there for a long time getting contaminated.
Sport now, and Peterborough's promotion push could take a major step forward at Bury tonight. Posh will move back into the League One playoff places if they avoid defeat at Gig Lane. Manager Steve Evans says it's an exciting opportunity. And around £250 million is expected to be wagered at the Cheltenham Festival over the coming days. And usually we've got local interest, with Kalashnikov, trained in Newmarket by Amy Murphy, currently the second favourite for today's Supreme Novices Hurdle. The weather for Cambridgeshire: a mostly dry and bright day with a mixture of cloud and sunny spells. Just a light or gentle breeze, and staying milder than of late as well. Highs of 10 Celsius, that's 50 Fahrenheit. There's more news as it happens at bbc.co.uk/Cambridgeshire. It's 5 minutes past 8.
Well, thank you very much, Andy.
This is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
Yes, it is. But it's not your normal breakfast show. I have spent most of yesterday's show, but not today's, being called Dotty. It's not actually Dotty. We sound similar, but we are very different. It's Thordis in all this week, while Dotty has a very well-earned rest, which I'm learning she probably needs, having adjusted to the earlier alarm. You normally find me on at 4 p.m, so being on air at 7 a.m, a little bit of a transition. I am loving it, though. I'm loving the show this morning. Many reasons why, which we'll come on to in a couple of seconds. First of all, why you might not have the problem of gum stuck on the bottom of your shoe in future. That's coming up on your breakfast show. The Cambridgeshire campaign as well, which is catching the world's attention.
Got to dodge them, really, especially when you've got people going down there walking. Hopefully they'll sort it out, really, and start finding people.
Also, the countdown's on for the Kremlin.
Should there be no credible response, we will conclude that this action amounts to an unlawful use of force by the Russian state against the United Kingdom.
And this is one of my favourite things to have happened on the radio in a long time. Fighting talk on breakfast today. It's the Battle of the Villages.
Peterborough Cathedral had 2 queens buried within.
They started up the Gordon Highlanders, the famous Scottish regiment, was started at the Gordon in Alton Longville.
You are getting in touch with your Cambridgeshire location with the most colossal claim to fame. Could your town or village, or indeed city, take the title? We've had nominations for Alton Longville, as you heard there, for Erith, for Great Gransden, Al Walton. But is the place that you live actually famous for something much better than we've been talking about so far? If it is, we would love to hear from you on the breakfast show this morning. 03459 25 2000 is our phone number as ever. If you're texting in, it's 81333. Start your message with the word Cam, or you can find me on Twitter if you'd like and send me a little tweetette. You'll find me at Thunderfairy.
This is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
Thoughty's having far too much fun on your radio this morning. Now, our top story is all about housing in Cambridgeshire. Demand for housing that meets older people's needs is apparently going to be up by 80% by 2035. This is according to brand new research. The sort of accommodation we're talking about is age-exclusive housing, specialist housing and also care beds. The research was commissioned from Sheffield Hallam University by South Cambridgeshire District Council. Earlier, we heard from the report's author, Dr. Tom Archer.
In addition to kind of specialist housing, how do we build general needs housing which is suitable for people in later life? How do we provide home modifications and advice and information services? So trying to look at that in the round. And like I say, the platform has been there in this area in particular,